can take right now to bring you closer to your financial goals. A little financial momentum goes a long way. A lot of us financially want somebody to tell us what to do, and many of those ideas are up in the air. You could use one of these magic balls, like this one from the Berkshire Hathaway meeting with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, but they're not giving advice inside. Instead of that, what are things that you can do that will do no harm, and in many cases, not cost that much? At What's Next with Money, we're about ownership, your future, context, financial context, elements to think about financially to enhance your decisions and your decision making, a framework and context for your choices, and a roadmap of on and off ramps, plus where there are the intersections of money and different fields like behavioral finance. So let's get started. Today we're going to look at 5 actions you can take that are helpful as we approach any milestone, the end of the year, a new year, a birthday, when you set goals and review goals. And this is a wonderful thing to do with a spouse or partner. So number 1, think and assess your reaction to market downturns. Whether we're in one or not, how will you react if the market loses 10 or 20%? Reflect on prior experiences. How did you think and feel? Why were you in the market in the first place? What was the purpose assigned to your money? And think about the long term. And what did you do during past downturns? Did you keep investing? Did you adjust your asset allocation? Did you panic sell? This is something really to think about. We have market events all the time. I've experienced 6 major market events: Black Monday, the Russia financial crisis, Asian financial crisis, the tech bubble, the housing Great Recession, and now the pandemic, which is actually a short downturn, but a very challenging situation for employment, even though we had a short, deep dive in the market. And you might say, if I had only known, but these types of market events happen on a regular basis. Recent studies have found the following. Each year in stock investing in the market, you could expect a 10% reduction in value, 20% every 3 years, and a 30% decline in a decade. Now, those numbers can change, and sometimes those can be a longer or a flat period of a downturn. You just don't know. We recently had a very quick bounce back, but this can be challenging if you're looking to retire at a certain time and the market has taken a dip. There are ways to mitigate that through having cash in advance. Again, we're talking about 5 money actions that you can take right now. Number 2, a really big one, net worth. Know it, live it, and love it. Net worth. And here at What's Next with Money, we emphasize ownership. We hear a lot about income inequality, and it's real. But there's also a wealth gap, even a racial wealth gap. I would substitute the word wealth for ownership. One of the challenges in society, many folks are not being able to own more things that grow in value. So there's really an ownership gap, and it's a new way to look at that. So the net worth can help you track that. The net worth is a calculation, very simple. Assets minus liabilities. That's your net worth. And it's a great tracking tool that you should use along with credit scores to measure your progress. And it's something that you and your spouse or partner can do to look to periodically to generate ideas, celebrate milestones, and align goals and thinking. So let's look at assets as part of net worth. It includes retirement accounts, housing and real estate, small business, cash, stocks, bonds, ETFs, exchange traded funds, mutual funds, your car, personal assets. Now, what you got to realize, if you sell any of this, there's often a cost to sell that. They're like real estate commissions. And there are sometimes tax consequences. So even though you're valuing them in your net worth statement, to pull them out of the market or liquidate them to convert it to cash or some other asset, there's often a cost to that. And you have to know if is there even a market for somebody to buy this. In the liabilities, the other part of that net worth calculation are mortgages, credit card balances, things you owe, auto loans, student loans, business loans. So back to ownership. Let me throw at you a few other ways to think about it that are a little new, novel approaches. Think about rentalship. A lot of us are renting all kinds of things. We might rent an apartment. And of course, I'm not talking about renting a car for a vacation or a short trip, but some folks rent furniture, equipment, and there are more ways to rent all kinds of things. And here's a new one that's really growing explosively: subscribership. Think about the streaming services, Netflix, Disney Plus, and these become a growing part of somebody's budget or their spending patterns. So be aware of what are you renting, write those down. What are you subscribing to? And a very cool thing credit card companies are doing now, they will list out, some of them will, recurring expenses. What am I obligated to pay monthly or quarterly? That's sort of an automatic payment. I don't go out and intentionally do it, but I've set it up with this vendor or with this service to do that. That'll reveal a lot about your spending patterns and how much extra cash you might have or be able to harvest for investing in ownership. Look at revenue and income opportunities for growth in assets. Look for income producing assets. Look for the idea of starting a business, rental property. Look at growth assets that can keep up with and beat inflation. Consider about new versus used. What about pooling assets or being in a cooperative where resources are shared for very low cost? The idea of you can actually loan things to others in a community for free. And getting to know your neighbors is a good way to save money on some things like that. So we're talking about the 5 money actions you can take right now. Here's number 3. Get advice and perspective from others, formally and informally. For formal advice in the financial world, interview financial professionals. And many of them will take clients with moderate income or assets on an hourly or subscription fee basis. And always, experts recommend interviewing at least 3. You will learn so much by interviewing financial professionals, bringing notes, bringing your questions in advance, and after each interview, going through those and setting up new questions to ask the next person you will meet with. Now, I'm going to recommend 2 types of designations. For financial planning, CFP, Certified Financial Planners. We'll have linked to these ways to kind of find them. It's at letsmakeaplan.org. And for financial counseling, budgeting, credit counseling, organizing your finances, the AFC, or Accredited Financial Counselor. And you can find them at afcpe.org. And again, we'll have a link for that for you, for those 2 types of financial professionals. But let's say you have a goal, a particular goal of mine, of a particular ownership focus, like rental property. You can informally network and try to get answers to get an orientation to the field. Think about who you know who's done this before. Ask how they got into it. What pitfalls did they run into? How did they have to be prepared? What kind of books did they read? Training, websites did they visit? Personally, I got interested in financial planning because I love personal finance, but I found out there was a real profession around it. And I started interviewing financial planners and learned so much. Later, for real estate investing, I started very small, took courses, but I met with folks, people that have done it before. To contact a bank, for example, to find properties they were trying to unload, I thought there was some gatekeeper you had to go through. But I talked to a friend who had great experience in this. He said, just call and ask. There are many things you can check out on the web. Many of us don't have financial role models, especially in the ownership arena. So bring your questions. Talk with those people you know and financial institutions and professionals working there, like realtors. Visit several. You will learn so many. And at What's Next with Money, we believe questions are more powerful than answers, and questions will generate new questions. So, to help you through some of these issues, here at What's Next with Money, we offer a free guide that you can download. It's 6 pages, How to Control Your Finances, essential guide for practical tips you can use now. And we have some of the best links inside this document to objective, non-commercial sources. We're talking about 5 money actions you can take right now. Here's number 4, stretch ownership. Lengthen the useful life of something that you did buy or are using. And I often buy used, especially cars, but I get those things checked out. I pay a little money for an independent inspection. So I bought used from snowboards to camping gear, but I try to stretch out the useful life of something. Years ago, I bought a car that was leased by a couple and they couldn't keep up with the payments. So it was about 1 year old, still under warranty. I ended up keeping that car, drove it for 15 years, long after any lease would have happened. A lot of folks like to be early adopters of things, and this could be a skill set many of you have, but maybe you don't have to be, and try to get into second generation products after they've been proven, the bugs worked out, and the price has dropped. So you don't always have to have the latest, but think of that. Can you stretch out the life of that cell phone, for example? What about college spending? Very expensive. There are many ways to stretch that out financially, getting lower cost credit hours, community colleges, online courses, taking tests that will allow you to obtain the courses without even doing the classes, and you lower your borrowing costs. Another way to approach college a little different than stretching is to consolidate and speed up the number of credit hours you're taking in a semester to get through faster and thus borrow less. We're talking about 5 money actions you can take right now. The 5th and final one is automate. Set it and let it work for you. Automate. Dollar cost averaging. Putting the same amount of money every month in buying retirement assets in the stock market. Whether the market goes up and down, you are capturing more shares at lower cost as the market dips, and you don't have to time the market. Many people, as they start a job, they're auto-enrolled. They're pre-enrolled in essence in a retirement account. Let that keep going. Sometimes companies have something called auto-escalation. Automatically, you will agree that after a year or two, the amount of contribution for my retirement will go up by a percentage or so. You're building ownership slowly. You're taking advantage of market volatility and instability and the gyrations and the irrational emotions that others are sensing in those markets. But just don't set it and forget it. Set a time to check those automated settings that you have. And while you sleep, you are building wealth and ownership. Each month you can have that peace of mind. And on your net worth statement, it's good to note what assets you're building that are under sort of this automatic setting. So save, spend less than you earn, and grow your money, especially as it's assigned to a purpose and a goal. So if these 5 money actions can bring you closer to your financial goals, a little financial momentum goes a long way. So hit that subscribe button. I'm Brent Neiser, looking to see you next time on What's Next with Money.